Hey, it is me, Kurt from Parade the Gospel, and I decided that I'm going to do probably not a short video of my testimony. I figured that we are about 4 years in, and I don't think I've ever really shared my testimony. At least I never really got really in depth and got right down to the nitty gritty of it. But that's what I want to do in this video. I'm going to share all the details. It's going to be a story, so buckle up, guys. This is story time. It's going to be a long video, and that's why I'm actually filming this right now on Facebook Live. The reason being that if I film this on my cell phone and save it on my phone, it's going to be a huge file, too many gigabytes, and sometimes my phone shuts down after it gets to like 24 minutes or whatever. This might exceed 24 minutes, I don't know. So if I do a Facebook Live, I can download it to my computer. It's going to be a very small file. I can upload it, so the quality's not going to be super great, but it gets the job done regardless. So there's a couple of things I want to say up front. Now, I've been wanting to do this video for a long time for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I want you guys to just know a little bit more about me. You can get to know me a little bit more. And secondly, you can delight in God's saving grace. That He can save a sinner like me, He can save a sinner like you. And on that note, I do want to mention that now I was saved 21 years ago in a jail cell. Almost right down to the day. It's November 15th right now when I'm recording this, and it was November of the year 2000 when I got saved. What day exactly, I don't know. It's the middle of the month, so that's probably the best time, better than any other time to maybe get it close to the exact date, but around now. So 21 years. I am 21 years old in the Lord, and no, I'm not going to go out and hit the bars because that's not what saved people do. Okay, that's probably a lame joke, but anyway, so with that said, though, now, I was saved in a jail cell. Whenever I thought about making my testimony, I've always wanted to make it a point that you don't have to have an interesting, I put that in quotes, a radical testimony where you were like so, head deep in drugs or you were doing this, you were doing that, and you're in prison, you killed someone or whatever. You don't have to have a testimony like that. And my testimony isn't that interesting, I guess, in the eyes of, most Christians when you compare it to other, amazing testimonies. And they are amazing testimonies, don't get me wrong. But I just don't want you to think that, oh, well, his testimony is really awesome. What do I have? I got to go out and get myself a testimony. No, there's two verses I always wanted to share when I talk about this, and it's Romans 6:4, where it says that we walk in newness of life. No matter if you grew up in a religious family, maybe a Christian family, and as far as you look back at your life and you can't really find much sin, like any overt sin, like you didn't kill anybody, obviously, or some great big thing, like you weren't possessed by a demon, you weren't full of doing drugs or whatever. Maybe you can think of a couple of how we would view in our eyes small sins, but in God's eyes, we sin against a thrice eternally holy God. It's very important, no matter what sin it is. You break one law, you broke them all. In James 2:10, it talks about that. So please understand that. Now, the other verse that I oftentimes think about sharing when I talk about this is Colossians 1:13. So Romans 6:4 and Colossians 1:13. There's a lot of popular verses we can go to, like in Corinthians, how it talks about being a new creation. But I want to give you some maybe less known verses that are awesome just the same. But it says in 1:13, He has delivered us from the power of darkness and conveyed us into the kingdom of the Son of His love. I'm trying to read it right now because I want to get it exact. But He has conveyed us from the power, or let me read it exactly, the power of darkness, and conveyed us into the kingdom of the Son of His love. So that's enough that you need to rejoice right there. It doesn't matter what you were saved from. It doesn't have to be some big thing. And again, my story compared to other ones, yes, I was saved in the jail cell, but it's not like super interesting. Once I tell you why I was in jail, you're going to be like, oh, that's it. That's not, some great big thing. But I'm going to share this story like right from the start and onward. So I'm going to share like all the details. So yeah, let's get into it then, shall we? For whoever wants to listen to this. But seriously, guys, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. It's going to be very laid back. Hopefully it'll be somewhat interesting to some of you. and you can just get to know each other a little bit more. Share your testimony down in the comment section as well, or make a video about it on your YouTube channel, and we can, I'll watch it, I'll check it out. What matters is that God saved us. That's the important thing, right? So anyway, we're going to go way back in my story. Now, that was 21 years ago. I'm 37 right now, by the way. So 21 years ago, I was 16 in a jail cell in Manitowoc. But we're going to go back even before that. I'm going to talk about just a little bit about my background, just a tiny bit. Just want to touch on it. So my upbringing. Grew up in Manitowoc, and we'll just get into the important stuff. So I grew up in not a Christian household, but we did go to church, and this is the same story for a lot of people, I'm sure. Easter and Christmas, or Christmas and Easter. And but what was a little bit different with us is that we had what I call religion class. Now, we went to a Catholic school, or not a Catholic school. We went to a public school, but Catholic school for religion class once a week, at least through grades 1 through 6 at the local Catholic school that was connected to the church. At Holy Innocents, it was called, in Manitowoc, really big Catholic church. So on my mom's side, in particular, she comes from a Catholic background, but it's not serious enough where we go every week. It's just something that we did at Christmas and Easter. That's all I remember anyway. And we had, teachings during the school year at religion class, as I called it back then. I think that's what my mom called it as well. Oh, time to go to religion on Tuesday nights, or whatever night it was. I think it was Tuesday nights. But anyway, so I have a Roman Catholic background. Now, I do want to say something about that right from the get-go, so I don't waste your time, because I know a lot of people are going to click off, a lot of people are going to downvote this video, which I did hear recently that YouTube is going to take away the downvote, the thumbs down. Like, I don't know why they're doing that. I mean, I guess I can see why. I don't think they've done it yet, though. But if they haven't done it yet, I'm going to get some downvotes. And I'm probably going to lose some subscribers. But guys, one thing you need to know about me is I do care about truth. And I care about doctrine. And this is going to be a very unpopular thing, what I'm about to say. And some of you guys are like, oh, I know where he's going to go. And I can just, even though you guys aren't watching me live right now, I can feel the hair is starting to rise in your arms as you get all tensed up about this. I can feel it right now, in the future, through the screen, thousands of miles away. I know some people are just getting upset, but yes, I am going to go there. I'm going to call out Roman Catholicism. What? It's just another denomination. You think you're right? Oh, well, I'm out of here, and then, leave in a huff. But guys, listen, I'm going to keep this short, but I am going to touch on it real quick. Now, I grew up in Roman Catholicism. I believe, okay, here we go. He's going to say it. He's going to say it. I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to unsubscribe. And then you got the hand on your mouse right now, like, here we go. Roman Catholicism is not a Christian denomination. It's not Christian at all. What? You can't say that. What are you talking about? They're good. They're great people. My mom, my grandma is a Roman Catholic, and she's very nice. What are you talking about? They believe in Jesus. No, I'm out of here. Okay, hold on, guys. Wait. Okay, so if you go on my YouTube channel, Pursuing 222, that's pursuing the number 222. It's all one big thing. I did a video about this on my Facebook, but I uploaded it to YouTube sometime later. Check that video out if you're really interested about this. I don't want to make this too long, so I want to get into my testimony, but it's important because my testimony starts in Roman Catholicism. Because I grew up believing a different gospel, and that's what it is, guys, a different gospel. You're not supposed to say that. Oh, I'm saying it. I don't care about being popular. I'm going to say what's unpopular. But guys, before you just get mad and upset, because a lot of Christians, who aren't Catholic but just Christians, will get upset about this. I've talked about it for many years on my Facebook channel. My Facebook. Guys, let's be honest about what they believe. And that's what I did in this video. So what I challenge Christians, and I challenge you guys, if you are upset about what I just said, is to simply do one little thing. And I challenge Christians this all the time. If they never do it, it takes like just 2 minutes. So whatever church you go to, go on your church's website. I'm sure you have one. And check out what they believe as far as salvation is concerned. Don't worry about the other doctrines. I'm not concerned about purgatory or Mariology or things like that. Those are important, definitely. I spent a lot of years talking to Roman Catholics and witnessing to them. There's a lot of side things we can get into, but let's stick to the gospel. what does your church believe about the gospel? I'm sure you're going to agree with it, and that's part of my plan. A little bit sneaky. I want you to look at your church's explanation of what the gospel is. You're going to agree with it, right? Like I can almost guarantee, like, who's going to deny what their church believes about salvation? If you have a problem with it, then that's a problem. But chances are you're going to be down with it, right? And it's probably biblical. I'm sure it probably is, right? I mean, it's easy to copy paste things, whether or not they teach it and follow it, that's a different thing. But nevertheless, you're going to agree with it. So what I did in this video is I went to the three churches that I've been involved with for the last 21 years. One was Assemblies of God Church. That was my first church. I was there for 3 years. Maybe I'll get into that in a little bit later. But next one's Calvary Chapel for 10 years in Manitowoc. And the one after that, which is where I'm at right now, is Christian Alliance Church in Manitowoc. So I took the doctrinal statement on salvation, how one is saved from each of those churches, because I thought that was just a nice spectrum of different churches in the area, because nobody else is going to do it. I gave people a full day to look up their churches and, find that information, because a lot of people disagree with me on this. Now, find that, agree with it, because you're going to agree with it. Then compare it to what Roman Catholicism teaches on salvation. Nothing else, just how one is saved. Guys, it takes 2 seconds. Come on. Obviously, it's different. And we should be okay with noticing that. Let's be honest. Okay, that's all I ask. Just be honest. We should look at that and be like, hey, that is different. But this is how you are saved, right? You believe. You just shook your head. I asked you, do you agree with what your church says? You said yes. This is different. We have a problem. Either one of us is wrong or both of us is wrong, but both can't be right. It's common sense, right? It's just simple logic. So that's kind of the basis of where I start at. And there's a lot more we can go into, but I just challenge you. If you have a problem with what I say, and I've talked about Roman Catholicism for years on my Pursuing 222 channel, in my personal time talking and witnessing to some friends on my Facebook. So trust me, what they believe, just on the doctrine of salvation, and I provide in that video different statements from their own writings, what they believe. This is how you get saved. It's different, and we know what Paul says in Galatians about a different gospel. It's not a good thing. Just a hint. It's not a good thing. And we should take it seriously just as much. It doesn't matter how nice people are. Mormons are nice. Jehovah's Witnesses are nice. Probably nicer than most Christians. So what? It's great that they're nice, sure, but is it the gospel? Is it going to save their soul from hell? Do they have an advocate with the Father? That's important. Anyway, so with that as the backdrop, because I grew up in Roman Catholicism, I believed in a works salvation. Now, I know they're going to say, well, we don't believe. They do believe that, but they might not define it that easily. Like, you really have to dig. That's what I find about Roman Catholics. You really have to dig deep to get them to understand what it is they believe. You really do have to do that. But whether it was their intention or not, that's pretty much what I believe, just like everybody else. I mean, we've been witnessing to people for a long time out on the street, Roman Catholic or not. A lot of them who come up with a Christian background believe that they are saved by their works in some form or fashion, but especially Roman Catholics. Seriously, guys, go out and witness. You will see what I mean. Anyway, so it's kind of funny. As a kid, I used to go around the neighborhood, and I had this little plastic baggie. I don't know how old that was, maybe like 9 or something like that. And I would pick up trash, pick up cigarette butts and whatever, because I thought I was doing God a favor. I thought I was winning points with God. And I thought now he's on my side, right? So I can pray and ask him for favors. And especially for me back then, I'll admit something right now. I have something called a emetophobia, which is a fear of throwing up, basically. And it started around 4th grade, so whatever age I was back then, 4th grade, maybe like 10 or something like that. But pretty big thing, and I still have it to this day to some extent. It's just an anxiety thing, but it's a lot better than what it was back then. But anyway, I thought, well, hey, if I pick up trash and whatever, I thought, oh, maybe God's on my side now. I can pray and ask him to not get me sick. Or if I would notice like somebody had a light on in the bedroom, I'll turn it off and like, oh, I'm saving energy, saving the environment. I thought I was doing a great thing, and oh, now God loves me. So that was kind of my idea back then, but nobody told me otherwise. Went to the Catholic Church, and they certainly didn't tell me otherwise. But honestly, I really didn't care. I just thought that, religion class was just another thing that we had to do. It was another hour of school, basically. And who wants to go to school as a kid? So that's kind of what it was for me. I didn't really care too much of it. But I still, had this relationship with God that I thought that, well, I can just win his favor, right? So that will be the backdrop of just kind of who I was back then. So we're going to fast forward. Now, there is something else that I do want to mention, just in brief. It's actually a huge part of my life. But I want to talk about this or about that in its own separate video. Chloe was just standing on the side of me. Here, can you shut this door because I don't want to make a bunch or hear a bunch of noise on the video in case somebody's like making a bunch of noise. So there's another part about me. I probably mentioned like bits and pieces of it before, but I kind of had a crazy childhood growing up. Socially, I really didn't have any friends. And this is huge when I want to talk about how God can use a nobody like me to reach people. You don't have to have all this talent and ability. You can be a nobody like me and God can use you. It is incredible. But this does play a little bit into my testimony as well because of why I did the things, I guess, that I did coming up. So I had like no friends. When I was in like elementary school, every single recess I would stand by myself, not a single person come to me and play with me. I mean, there was like super small exceptions here and there. I had one friend basically. Did I just say I had no friends? Well, I had one friend. We never had the same class together. We barely had a recess together. And my friend was Brad Dassey. And now I know some of you guys are like, wait, Dassey? Manitowoc? Hey, I watched that Netflix show, Making a Murderer. Is there any? Yes, Brad is Brendan's half-brother. So just get that out of the way. But yes, I know all about that stuff and probably a lot more than what most people do who watch that thing on Netflix. But yeah, my friend Brad, I grew up with him. He was my basically best friend. And he plays a story in this testimony as well. I'll get to that. A big part, really. And even a big part into me going to church for the first time in 2003. 2001 or 2000 you got saved, not 2003. What's with that gap? I'll get to that. Okay, so with that as the backdrop, I had severe anxiety issues, social issues. Like I didn't talk to anybody. That was the thing I should have gotten to. So keep that in mind. That's mainly why I didn't really have many friends, because I just didn't talk to many people. So we're going to fast forward now to 1999. I was 15 years old at the time. I know that's a big time jump, but we're going to do that. So me and my brother Kyle were in bowling league, youth bowling league, and it was September 9th or whatever. Sunday morning this would be on. So Sunday morning in early September is our first time meeting for that year. And we go there, and there's this other guy, a little bit older. He's talking about how to make a bomb, of all things, right? And 15-year-old me, I hear this, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds interesting. Dude, a boy being 15 years old would not want to know how to do that, using household items to make an explosive device, right? That just sounds exciting. So he taught us how to do it. I need a drink. I drink a lot of green tea or white tea as well. Good stuff. Very healthy. Research it. You will want to drink some. It's good stuff. Anyway, so he taught us how to do that, right? So then I was just super excited to go home after bowling and build this. So that's what we did. I think it was me, Kyle, maybe some of his friends. I don't remember who exactly was with us, but we got the materials. Basically, it's called the MacGyver bomb or the Works bomb. Don't do it. You just take simple household items. Anybody can do it, but just don't. You've probably heard of it before. You just buy a couple of items, mix it in empty soda bottle, and it just expands. Just chemicals, just expanding. The poof, it blows up. But it's super loud. Can you have 2 pieces of bread?
I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, go for it. You have to ask me. So we did that, and I can see why these things are super dangerous. So there is that warning, guys. Don't do this. It can be dangerous. I have heard of people blowing their arms or hands off from this because it builds up a lot of pressure. You can see on the bottle it just expands, 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 and boom! I mean, it is super loud, right? So we made like maybe two of them down. My road used to be a dead end road on Magnolia Avenue. We used to play down there as kids all the time. So we did that a couple of times, and fast forward later in the day, it was me and my brother Kyle, and I think one of his friends, or was it two of his friends? I can't remember. We were sleeping outside my backyard in a tent, and we used to play on the CB radio all the time. My friend Brad got me into that. We used to each own one and talk to each other and other people all the time, and kind of have some naughty fun, I guess, with other people, and like, you know, it was stupid stuff. We'd just be immature on there and get people mad at us and whatever. So we did that. So anyway, and earlier that day, I was at Brad's house. He lived 1 block away from me. I used to just cut through the yard and go to his house, and we'd hang out and whatever. But as I was leaving, I was so jazzed up about being able to know how to make a bomb. I mean, it's like I won the lottery. I mean, again, 15-year-old boy, that's a lot of power, and it brings a lot of excitement. So I leave his house, and his younger brother, his half brother, not Brendan, different side of the family, because his mom remarried and had 2 kids with somebody else, so it's that side. His brother was coming home, walking, and I'm like, I know how to make a bomb, you know, all arrogant like, and that's it. That's all I said. I shouldn't have done that, but because later on, me, Kyle, and 1 or 2 of his friends, we decided, okay, let's do this again. You know, maybe we wanted to show the other friend or something like that. So we're gonna sleep outside in the tent. We it's nighttime now. We go cut through the couple of lawns and such, and go to in front of my friend Brad's house, and we make one out in the street, and we fly out of there, like we're running out of there, and we're waiting and waiting. Like, is this thing ever gonna go off? And then after a 10-minute wait, like a long wait, boom! Like the loudest explosion you could ever imagine. It was super loud. So, it goes off. We're running right. That was awesome. We run back in the tent, and so some time passes, and like I said, I'm going to tell you the nitty gritty of it. I'm going to get into all the details, but as I remember it anyway. So we were putzing around on the CB radio. We actually were playing a CD. It's not bad music, the song F the Police, whatever. We were playing that song in the CB radio, right? We're holding the thing down as that song is being played. Maybe that was too much information. I didn't like saying that, even just the letter of it, but I already said it. But as we were playing that, here come 2 police officers while the music's playing into the CB, which is probably not, I don't even know if that's legal. So then I don't think, knocked on our tent or whatever they did. Well, they had their flashlights probably. So we come out, they have a talk with us, and I'm freaking out. My brother's friend is crying because we thought, oh boy, this is bad. Someone's going to jail. That's what we were thinking. So the reason why they knew it was us is because I told Brad's younger brother I know how to make a bomb. And I found out later, and this is kind of funny even though I shouldn't laugh, is that when the thing went off, I guess they were all sitting in their living room watching TV, and Brad's mom was sitting down. The boom happens, and she just jumps up to her feet. Like, it just shoots straight up. So I always thought that was kind of funny. Looking back at it now, but anyway, I'm just trying to picture it in my head. But she wasn't happy with us, rightly so. When she found out that we made the bomb because Brad's brother told on us, right? So they called the police. Police talked to us, but all they did was give us some warning. That's all they really did. We were so relieved though. Like, I thought, oh man, we're gonna get into some huge trouble. No, nothing else happened. It was just that. This is 1999. Maybe if it happened later on, it would have been worse. I don't know, but. Now we're going to fast forward. So I, talked about my upbringing, not having many friends, things like that. Fast forward to December 21st, 1999.
Why are you telling stories?
Giving my testimony.
Oh.
This is a live Facebook thing right now. Nobody's watching right now. I'm going to upload it to YouTube later because I wanted to do this for a long time. So, December 21st, 1999. I'm at school. It's lunchtime, 9th grade at the time, and the way that we did our schooling in Manitowoc, they just changed this like last year, I think, but middle school or junior high was 7th grade and 8th grade and ninth grade. However, the ninth grade being at the middle school building was considered high school, right? That's when high school starts. But it was still in the same building as the junior highs are. So, but anyway, ninth grade, um, I was at lunch and I never, having my social anxiety stuff. I always had my lunch by myself. It was terrible. It was a miserable time. For the most part, again, very small exceptions. But I remember I was in line and these two girls were behind me and they're looking at me and it's kind of uncomfortable. But then later on, one of them came up to me. I think her name was Grace. I think. She came up to me and she's like, "Hey, I want you to meet my friend." So we went by the soda machine or whatever and talked with this girl. Now, for sake of this video, I'm gonna change her name. You know who I'm talking about, I think, but I'm gonna change her name just because I think that would be appropriate. Give me a girl's name. What should I name her?
Samantha.
Samantha? Yeah, whatever. As good as name as any other. I just hope I remember to say Samantha, not the other name. Anyway, so Samantha said that I guess she thought I looked cute, which, I don't think I'm cute at all. Not even close. And Chloe's like, "Oh, you're handsome." She tells me it all the time. I'm like, "Oh, whatever."
You are though.
Am I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, so she thought I was cute. Okay. So then the next day, on the 22nd, she asked me out basically, and me being super nervous, don't even know her. Like we barely even talked. We said like maybe 2 words to each other. I'm like, "Okay, let's date. Sure, yeah, whatever. Let's exchange phone numbers." So we're dating now, I guess. So then we called each other that night and then began a relationship over the phone, at least for the start. And we kind of started hanging out a little bit later on. But now this Samantha was an interesting character. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm degrading her or anything like that, but she was just very interesting. She was the aggravator. And I'll get to that point more later, especially when we start talking about what happened at court and what they said and why they made the decision that they made. But she was the aggravator, right? So she would aggravate me to do things, "Oh, let's do this, let's do that. Oh, wouldn't it be awesome? It's going to be so much fun." And I really don't want to do it, but I was kind of coerced into it. Partly because I didn't want to lose her, because, I started falling for her, my first girlfriend. Wow, this is amazing. I don't want to lose her. I want that, what's that word I'm looking for? I just wanted to be loved, basically. I wanted to have another friend in a way. That was a lot of it. There's another word I'm looking for, but I can't think of it. Maybe validation? I don't know. But anyway, so we talked how we had the same French class, and for whatever reason, that really, that was exciting to us. Oh, we have the same French class. Okay, we got one class that we have together. Yeah, I know. Remember to say Samantha. And I'm not even going to use the French teacher's name either. I'm going to probably change that to something else as well. Maybe Mrs. Robinson. I don't know why. Seems like a common name, I guess, so we'll use that. So we had the same French teacher, and for whatever bizarre reason, one night we decided, okay, let's prank phone call her house. So my friend Brad was sleeping over, and I was on the phone with Samantha, and we did a 3-way. I think we first ordered like pizzas to her house or something like that, and I think Family Video was involved somehow. I don't remember how, but I just remember calling Family Video. That's kind of like the Blockbuster. We have a Family Video as well back then, but anyway, we ordered pizzas for her. I think we may have called her house and just prank called her somehow. And it was pretty late at night too. So somehow we got caught. I don't know if she did star 69, but I think we were more clever than that, back then, or it's a star 67. I don't remember, but to hide our, our phone call, so then they wouldn't know it was us calling. But somehow they figured out it was us. So then it was probably the next day or the next school day. Me, Brad, Samantha got called to this one room with the police officer that worked for the school, the liaison officer, if I can even pronounce that right, the liaison officer, and the teacher, Mrs. Robinson. And basically, they weren't happy with us. I don't think we got anything out of it, like as far as any fine or anything. I don't think. But it was noted that this happened, and we had to drop out of the French class, me and Samantha. So that's what we did. Fast forward a little bit more, maybe mid-January, late January, somewhere around there. We're at a basketball game, or not a basketball game, but we're snowboarding, sledding outside of the school because they had a nice hill that goes down. Now, Mrs. Robinson, the French teacher, is a basketball coach as well. There was a basketball game going on. So we were in there, and she thought, and by the way, I never wanted to do any of this. Like, this was way outside my comfort zone, but she kind of, egged me on to do this stuff. And I didn't want to lose her love or respect for me. So I just kind of went along with it after she kept on egging me on to do it. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses. Please understand. It's still my fault that some of this stuff had happened. But anyway, a basketball game, in between snowboarding, and she's like, oh, what if we walk past her and you say something in a creepy voice like, Mrs. Robinson? And that's what ended up happening, as stupid as it sounds. So now, understanding from her perspective, she's probably getting a little freaked out. And I think that's what Samantha's agenda maybe was. But she, again, just thought it was funny, whatever. So then we're outside, we're snowboarding. I think her half-brother was involved here, or I think so. Anyway, snowboarding, and we're throwing snowballs at our classroom window. The light was on. We just, oh, it's funny, let's throw snowballs at our window. Stupid. And it was like one story up. Now, I thought she was still coaching the basketball game, so I didn't think anybody was in there. But next thing you know, she's out the door, and she's yelling for my French name, because we have to select a French name. Mine was Gautier, if I'm pronouncing that right. Gautier.
What's your mom's name?
And hers, well, I can't say what hers was because it sounds too similar to her actual name, but Samantha. We'll just, that's her name now. But Samantha Ian, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so we got in trouble for that. I can't remember the consequences, but we definitely got talked to. There may have been a fine. I don't know. Whatever that fine was, I don't remember. So let's fast forward again. So that's 2 strikes now with this French teacher. Fast forward to maybe February 10th-ish, sometime early February. We're out snowboarding again at the same place at the school, and her half-brother was there this time. And I had mentioned to Samantha, I almost said her real name, about this bomb thing that I had known about. So we decided, and her half-brother was getting kind of excited about this. Oh, I need to see this. So they both wanted to see it real bad. I haven't done it since that day in, I think, September 9th-ish or whatever. So we go to the store. The Pig was nearby, so we went to the Pig, got the materials, went to the park that's like right next door to Lincoln Park, and, drank the soda, empty the soda out, whatever we did, and, put the materials together, and we threw the bottle into the wooded area. And we're waiting. Nothing ever happens. We actually take what was left over of the materials, like the empty, I don't know if we dumped the rest of it out or what, but we somehow had like the liquid stuff that you add for this mixture on top of the roof. We just threw it up there, I guess, because we thought that was hiding it. I don't know. So we go back to snowboard, and I'm thinking, okay, we're going to hear this thing go off. Never did. But here's the important thing. On the way there, Samantha said something. She's like, oh, wouldn't it be really funny if we lit this thing off in front of her house, the French teacher's house? Because she actually lived really close by. It just so happened to be that way. This doesn't look good when you hear what happened next. So she made that, she came up with that idea. I think it was meant to be a joke. She never intended to do it. I certainly never, that was definitely a line that, okay, we're not going to do that. But she was joking around, oh, we should put it on our doorstep. That'd be so funny. And maybe, I don't know if I laughed or not, but I'm like, okay, it's not going to happen though. And I think maybe I was getting nervous, is she going to egg me on to do this next? Oh man, I hope not. But anyway, so she never did. Fast forward maybe a week or so. Something happened between us, I don't remember, but we got into a fight and we broke up. No idea what happened to this day. It's probably an argument over something stupid. But here's what she did. She either went to the French teacher or the school officer, the liaison officer, and told them that I was going to make this bomb and let it go off in front of her house or at her house. I can't remember which one was said exactly. Not true, but it doesn't help that when they can validate it and go to Lincoln Park, the police, and find the evidence of the bomb. And of course, the park just happened to be, very close to her house. Didn't help, didn't look good. I guess the dog's going crazy. I guess they found the bottle that didn't explode. Maybe it exploded at this time, I don't know. But they found the evidence. And looking back at my record, that they had found that the police were over at my house anyway to talk to me about this. Yeah, it wasn't good for me. So I was arrested at school. They brought me down to the police station. I had to be fingerprinted, and I was, what's the word I'm looking for? Not expelled, but
Suspended.
Suspended. Wow, good job, Chloe. You could get that. I was suspended for a week, and I believe I had 3 counts against me. One was for lying to the police, a misdemeanor, obstruction of officer, I think it's called. Then there was two more. I can't remember the exact names of them, but they're both felonies. One was like stalking, and the other one was making a bomb or whatever they would call it. I don't know. So again, understanding this French teacher's perspective, she's probably very freaked out right now. And well, this is 1999, so I don't recall how many school shootings had happened at this point. Had it been like a few years later, it probably would have been an even worse situation. But still, nevertheless, you can tell that she was freaked out. I totally understand. No disrespect to her on that. Don't blame her. So I was arrested, got charged with those things. I had to start going to court. Now, me and Samantha didn't talk at all during this time. But I had to go to court, and I was like furious. Like, why is she not getting in trouble for this, and I am? It was all on me. So mad about that, but whatever. What ended up happening? So there was a court order that I cannot associate with Samantha at all. That was a big one, and that's going to be very important coming up. And I had to serve like 40, 50 hours of community service, whichever one it was. And I think there were some fines I had to pay too. Now, the felonies were dropped down to misdemeanors, I think because I was 16 at the time. Or, no, I was 15 at the time. Because my birthday is in June. So I was 15. But anyway, so let's get to the fun stuff, or the juicy stuff, I guess. So that happened. Fast forward to June. I will say June, or am I? Well, that's kind of an irrelevant story. So fast forward after the school year was out, maybe the first week or two, I was at my friend Brad's house, and we're sleeping outside in the tent. We did it a lot back in the day, in his backyard, at his parents' house. So we were doing that, and then somehow we ended up talking to Samantha. I think we just called her up. And I think he called her up to try to hook us back up or something like that. So we talked all night, and then after that, we both felt, oh, you know what, I think we love each other. Let's start dating again. We got this court order, though, hanging over my head. I'm not supposed to associate with her, but we can keep it, under the radar. So that's what happened. That summer, we hung out, but we had to keep it secret. But, as things started happening again, where she would, want me to do things that I'm not totally comfortable with doing, but we did them anyway. Now, the French teacher is done. That whole thing is done. However, I will add that during the last bit of the school year, I had to be, after the class is done, I had to have like a chaperone teacher come and get me and watch me and walk with me between classes, which is super embarrassing. But they thought that's how much of a threat I was. Like, they must have thought like I wanted to harm this teacher. I think they also thought I had some like crazy weird crush on her, maybe. But that I had this weird fascination with her. But that's nowhere near the truth. It's just, these things happen the way they happen, and the circumstances didn't help very much. But anyway, that's what happened. So, one thing that we did that I'll mention is that have you guys ever, maybe back in your BC days, your Before Christ days, ever watched the Tom Green show? Very stupid show, was on MTV. This guy, Tom Green, does just crazy stuff with the camera, aggravates people, gets them mad, and whatever. we thought that was pretty funny back in the day. So we did something called the Kurt, Brad, and Samantha show. And I still have this somewhere. We took a camera and walked around the neighborhood and just did random interviews with people. We almost got kicked out. We did get kicked out of the store because we're interviewing people on deli meat. I was the one doing all the talking, which, for my shyness, my anxieties and such, crazy, way out there. But we did a lot of stuff. But yeah, so that was just kind of a stupid, fun thing. I actually did upload a small bit of it on my other YouTube channel, but I kept it on private because I just wanted to show somebody parts of that video. Maybe, I don't know if I'll share it down below or something. It's so stupid that it's funny because it's stupid, but it is immature. And my friend Brad edited the cussing because there is some cussing. He just added some beeps in there, but you can still kind of hear through the beeps. But it was kind of in the vein of a Tom Green show. Like, how the Tom Green show has a and he's got like this little text thing on there, what the clip is about. Brad put that in there with his little, outdated computer back then. But anyway, so that was just kind of something that we did. So fast forward now, it's about September. And I had a social worker at the time that I check in every once in a while. And something happened between me and Brad. Now, Brad also knew this social worker person. I don't remember what it was. He was mad at me, but he told him that I was seeing Samantha. So I had to be put on an ankle bracelet for 30 days because I broke my court order, okay? So that happened. Terrible experience, but it happened. But, got off of it, whatever happened. So fast forward again to November. Maybe, I don't know when we made the video, but we did another version of the Kurt, Brad, and Samantha show. There wasn't really so much talking with people, though. We did other stuff. I think my brother Kyle was involved, too, but Brad was there. We basically went around the neighborhood at one night and just did stupid stuff. Minor vandalism. Like, we uprooted a sign for an apartment building. We just kind of rocked it back and forth and kind of uprooted it. I think that was the biggest thing that we did as far as vandalism. See, guys, my testimony isn't like super awesome. Like, some people, if you're going to compare them side by side. But again, remember what I said about what the Bible says. We're saved. It doesn't matter what our past was like, how bad or how good, in God's sight, it's all bad. So anyway, I keep licking my lips because my lips are getting dry. I gotta drink some more tea, life-giving tea. So we made another video, and Brad's mom finds this video somehow at Brad's house, and she turns it into the police. Now, this was like maybe a Saturday or Sunday or something like that. So each day of the week, this is November now, I'm going to school without my backpack because it was in my backpack, so I'm missing a lot of my school materials, and Monday goes by. Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing, don't hear from anything. I don't know what's going on. Nobody contacted me. And then Thursday, I think I was in my public speaking class, and the police are knocking at the door outside the classroom. Two guys, or one guy, one girl, but two police officers. So I had to go out there. They tell me I'm being arrested, and they're going to take me to jail. I'm freaking out. I mean, yeah, I'm seriously freaking out at this point. I think I'm crying. So they put handcuffs on me. Well, I think I actually convinced them not to put handcuffs on me. So let's just walk out of the school first, and then you can do it, because I felt so embarrassing. Because we had a bit of a walk to get out of the school. So that happened. So I went to jail, and horrific experience. My anxiety is going all over the place. I'm freaking out. Never been to jail before. Juvenile detention, I should officially call it. But now, something happened, and this is the testimony part. I believe, to the best of my ability, as far back as I can remember, it was that night when I would say that at the very least I was opened up to the things of God, if not born again that night. So what happened was, somebody comes in every Thursday night, I think back then, to share the Bible, talk about the Bible, whatever. And I believe that they're actually Gideons, because they had Gideon Bibles, those little Bibles, the New Testaments of the Psalms and Proverbs. They gave me one at the end of that. Now there's a side story to this, where the guy who came in was either like one of three different people. Mike Wind, Conrad Bundy, and there was another guy. It was most likely Mike. The second guy who was doing it, not as often as Mike, was Conrad, and then I don't remember the third person. But the side point is that I eventually became pretty good friends with Conrad at Calvary Chapel, and it turns out that I found out he could have been the guy who was there that night. I don't know. But that's how we got the name for our middle child, Conrad. So there you go. And I also found out Conrad, I think in German, can also mean Kurt, which I didn't know that until after we kind of decided that. So that was kind of interesting. But anyway, and then so kind of in the way my spiritual father, the one that gave me the gospel, his name is Conrad. His middle name is Wayne, which is my physical father, my biological father. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2013. But anyway, so let's go back to the story. So that night, I remember I just wanted to keep talking to this guy. I should probably mention too how like years leading up to that point, I always had a prayer life like before I went to bed. Like it's kind of I don't know, maybe silly now to talk to God and be like, oh, I'm starting to fall asleep. Okay, God, I'm gonna pray to you. I'm gonna keep praying to you, but I'm gonna pray to you in my head now. I'm just gonna trust that you can hear me. This is kind of a weird thing. So I always had still apart from Christ, don't get me wrong, but maybe there was something there that God was, because I believe God gives you that gift of faith, you know what I mean? Yeah, it kind of has some reformed leanings as far as my doctrine, but however that all works out, I don't know exactly, but there was always that in my life. But anyway, I always wanted to know more. Actually, when I went to the Catholic religion class, my mom gave us all a choice if we wanted to continue that past 6th grade, and I was the only one that wanted to continue, and I did 7th grade, but it was really boring. The person who taught it was like super boring, so I didn't end up staying, in 8th grade and onward. So anyway, so he came in and he talked about whatever he talked about, and I just wanted to stay with him. So they were like me and or him were able to convince the guards to let me stay a little bit longer as the other guys went back to the the main jail area. So that happened, and I don't remember what questions I asked him, but I had a lot of burning questions. I think part of it is just because I wanted to not be back there. I wanted to stay talking to someone to relieve my anxieties and stuff. I just wanted to talk to someone. I just wanted to be with someone. But anyway, I do remember, however, asking one question, and that was, how are people in the Old Testament saved? Because with my wonky theology growing up, I really didn't know. So I don't remember how he explained it, but I know he did explain it biblically. Remember my Catholic upbringing. I didn't know what the gospel was, to be honest with you. And again, not trying to bash on one group or another, despite the fact that they are not a Christian organization, in my opinion. I think it's just as bad as any other false group like Mormonism or Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever. But even people today who are Roman Catholic or Lutheran or doesn't matter what church, Calvary Chapel, I don't care. A lot of people don't even know the gospel even today. Doesn't matter if they've been in it for a long time. A lot of people don't know. So anyway, I didn't know. He explained it to me, and he gave me the Bible, and I was up the entire night reading the Bible for really the first time. Now, I tried to read it, I would say religiously. Like, I would start from Genesis and try to read it onward. I had this plan, like, okay, I'm going to start from the beginning, and it was a big, thick Catholic Bible. I had all the extra books in there, too. A bit overwhelming, but I thought, okay, I'm going to read this whole thing, and I probably didn't even make it past chapter 1, to be honest with you. But I really wanted to at one point, or so I thought. It's hard to read God's Word without the Holy Spirit illuminating the words. But anyway, so I'm reading the same for essentially the first time outside of like reading passages in religion class. Anyway, so reading this thing for the first time was the most incredible night of my life. I call it the honeymoon. Now, whether or not I was technically born again at that point, honestly, I don't know. I think I was. Now, I know what it takes to be born again. I know the gospel now, but did I have enough of that understanding at that point? I think I did, but I don't 100% know. I know that some people might be like, oh, come on, Kurt, you should know. Come on. No, I don't, okay? I don't have a specific date, like, well, I'm going to celebrate every time when it's, the clock strikes midnight on November 15th or whatever. I don't have that, but that was the night anyway. I was up all night praying to God for really the first time, I believe. where I had that relationship with the Father. I had an advocate with the Father. I had fellowship was restored. So I have to use biblical language. So there's Zoe. Speaking of Zoe, which means life, I had life eternal for the first time that day.
Kitties.
Yeah, we're getting another cat this weekend. Ugh. I don't like cats. I do. Nah, I don't know. I'm allergic to them. Not really so much this one though. Anyway, so I had life. Reading the Bible up all night. All I had was God, Holy Spirit. Well, I mean, Holy Spirit is God. Trinity, I do believe in that. But that's all I had was God and the Bible, God's Word. Most incredible night ever. I was up all night devouring that thing for essentially the first time. I looked up the helps. They had like little things like, oh, what verse to look up for this thing or that thing, and then I would look that up and I would just keep on reading, and it was so incredible. And like I remember thinking like, oh, where's the part about Jesus? Where's the Jesus parts? Where's this part? And it's so cute, if I could say that word, looking back at it now. Now, I was in jail for 4 days. I had to go to court and got into a whole bunch of other trouble because they had that video. They exaggerated things in court, like, oh, they were trying to break into the like fuse box at the park at Lincoln Park or something, because we had these little rods. Those rods you put in your driveway when it snows, so you know where the driveway is. We stole one from this apartment and we were whacking the lock panel for like the fuses or whatever. And they said that, oh, you're breaking in, you're trying to break in. Come on, that's not going to break the lock. Give me a break. And we were just lightly tapping it with these little fiberglass rods. Cat's scratching on something. Anyway, but we were in trouble, and quite rightly so. I think I had to pay something or write a letter to the apartment where we uprooted that sign. And what's weird is that I think I was the only one, once again, that got in trouble. Not Samantha, not Brad, not my brother Kyle, just me. And of course, it didn't help that I was already, in trouble with the law and having a social worker and all that stuff. So anyway, they put me on, I was in jail for 4 days. I was on the ankle bracelet for like months now at this point, and I had to go on a different system. I think there was another time actually before that I went on the ankle bracelet again. But I gotta get moving because this video is already going kind of long. So, I retained my relationship with Samantha. Yeah, I really gotta start hurrying up this thing to get updated to today. So, where do I want to go from here? I was on some other program. I can't remember what it was called, but essentially I had to be on the ankle bracelet for so many months, and then I had a pager that they carried around with me, and then every time they would beep the pager, I would have to call this number, and they would just kind of verify, that I'm where I said I was, and it was kind of less restrictive than the ankle bracelet. But me and Samantha would always retain the relationship. We would call each other and talk to each other till like 2 a.m, and sometimes she would come over and she would sneak in through my basement window. We spent a lot of time in the basement. That was kind of the hangout area. And sometimes I would even sneak over at her house, which is very risky. Now, my parents were obviously very against it, but her mom and her dad or stepdad didn't, care too much, but her mom was like open with us having a secret relationship. So it was very bizarre time. And then we were together ultimately for 2 years. Now, there were several other times I did end up in jail, mostly because I got caught being with her. Again, the court order was that I could not associate with this girl, but, I loved her. I was in love. And, I wanted to stay with her. So we got caught several times, and there was only one exception when I ended up in jail for something completely different. Me and my friend Brad, again, just acting like idiots. We were 17, I think, at the time. Walking around outside Lincoln Park. Just so happens to be Lincoln Park again. I should stay away from Lincoln Park. And there was a lot of times we were so risky, we almost got caught. A lot of stories, a lot of things to share on that. But anyway, me and Brad, though, we got into a scuffle with these two kids who were maybe around the same age or so. Got into a fight. my friend Brad went to the little store nearby the pig and called the police. And when he came back, we were already getting into a fist fight, me and some random kid. Now, Kurt, if you're born again, how come you got ended up getting? Nobody was perfect, and I was definitely going through a regeneration, sanctification stage. I was always reading my Bible. I always had my Bible with me, but there was just that time I was an idiot. Why didn't I go to church? Oh, and by the way, we got I think Brad got a fine too from that, if I'm not mistaken. But I got a fine, and I had to tell my social worker or the other person from the other program what happened, and I had to go to jail. So I was in jail. I remember it being 5 times, but for some reason I can only think of 4 times when I was in jail. But I just can't remember that 5th time. It's probably just another time I got caught being with Samantha. Anyway, so let's see, where do I go from here? Now, the reason why I wasn't in church for 3 years from 2000 to 2003 was because, simply put, I was the only believer that I knew. Like, there was literally nobody I could talk to. Now, me and Samantha did talk about the things of God sometimes. She was kind of saying some stuff that even I back then knew that, okay, it's not quite lining up here with what I'm reading, in the Bible. But okay, so we kind of, I felt weary about that. Like, okay, we're not connecting. I probably didn't read the verses yet about being unequally yoked. I don't even know. I just felt kind of weird. But she's the only girlfriend I ever had, and I loved her, and we've been through so much at this point. How can I possibly be with anybody else? It was what I thought back then. So yeah, that's really the reason why I didn't go to church, is because I just didn't know anybody, and also I didn't know how. As funny as that sounds, like all I remember was the Roman Catholic Church, and it's still at this point I really didn't understand anything else besides Roman Catholicism. Like, I thought that's Christianity. Like, I didn't know the distinctives of their doctrine or anything like that. I just thought, okay, how about after I graduate? I remember making this deal with God in a way, like, okay, after I graduate, I will start going to church. Like, I didn't know, though, how to go to church. Do I have to sign up somewhere? Do I just walk in? I really didn't know, as funny as that sounds. But again, I had no friends who were believers. It was just me. And just me and the Word of God for about 3 years. I will mention, and this is kind of stupid for me to share because it's embarrassing, there was always that desire to want to share His Word. Me and my friend Kyle were starting to drift apart a little bit. Did I say my friend, or did I say my brother? My brother Kyle. Yeah. Starting to drift apart a little bit, but I was pretty close with his friends too, but we were starting to drift apart with, I was starting to drift apart with them a little bit too for various reasons. But we got into a scuffle one day, me and his friend, kind of a little bit of a fist fight, sort of. It's probably really dorky, but this is not how you witness to people. Afterwards, I grab my Bible and I'm kind of waving like, this is what you need to know right here, after we just got into a fist fight. And I was probably the aggravator of that a little bit, because they were doing some stuff that I didn't approve of, smoking some stuff and doing stuff like that, and never approved it. I was just really mad at him for that reason. But anyway, I'm like waving my Bible around. I wanted him to know, but obviously didn't go about it very good. Not the way to do it. But there was that little thing brewing in me a little bit. So let's see. Should we fast forward to 2003 then? I already got through my testimony part, which was 21 years ago, around right now, November 15th. What else do I want to tell? There's probably a bunch of stuff I'm forgetting about that I will remember later. So, okay, graduate in 2003, and now Brad again. A little bit later, a few months later, Brad comes to me. He's like, "Hey, you should come to this church sometime. It's unlike any church that you've ever been to before." Because he was going to youth group at this church before we graduated, I guess, here and there. And he's telling me, "Oh, it's nothing like the Catholic Church." And again, remember, all I knew was a Catholic church. Like, I just thought every church was, like what a Catholic church is. I didn't know any better. So that's when I started going to church, and that's how I got involved in the first church. And this church was called Lighthouse Assembly of God. Yes, Pentecostal. They changed their name recently to Renew Church. But anyway, went there, and I was there for 3 years. And I am thankful for the foundation that they started to build in me. Some stuff kind of wonky about it, which I'm not going to get into right now. So that's when I decided to leave out on my own. I still love the people, by the way. I still talk to them and still associate with them quite a bit. It's actually how my daughter Chloe here got involved in Bible quizzing. It was through that church. I still love those people, still talk to them, but just some stuff that I don't like too much. We've had our little Dr. No squabbles before. Anyway, so maybe I should just get into the evangelism part of it too, because that's really a big thing. Now, the first day I stepped into that church, though, the very first day of me going to church, being a believer, when I went to Lighthouse Church, the very first thing that happened to me when I walked in was, oh no, I gotta share the gospel now. I gotta tell people about this. And it wasn't like an oh no because I don't want to. It was an oh no, I can't do it. With all my problems, my shyness, my super crazy, ridiculous anxiety issues with, being social with people, I can't do that. So, but that was there. It was like instinct. Like I always say, salmon swim upstream. Some, not all, but some birds fly south for the winter. The Kurt Siebel shares the gospel. Like I just knew that's what we were supposed to do. Like, isn't that what everyone's supposed to do? That's what I thought. I thought everyone is, wanting to do this and probably doing it. They just have more skill and much more ability than I do. But as a couple of years go by, found out that I was the only one, I think, with that true desire. Like, when I say true desire in the sense that, like, yeah, people will say that they have that desire, but do they really, really live it out? So for those 3 years, I really didn't have any friends. Nobody would take me under their wing. Like, everybody began to know that that was my passion. I wanted to spread the gospel. Didn't know how. Nobody ever took me under their wing, and it's been that way ever since. But I did develop some friendships there. My friend Kim, who um, her kids are in Bible quizzing as well. That was a lot of stories with that. Pretty interesting time, but it was great to have that friendship though with her, and but I didn't really have any like other real good man friendship, like guy friendships there. I don't think I never, for the most of my Christian life, up at least until 2013, I never really had any friends, like guy friends that were believers. Not really. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, so and then fast forward to 2005. So I started going to church in maybe like fall of 2003. There's like 1,000 things I want to talk about, but it's all irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. It's just giving backstory of my life. What jobs I had, girlfriends, blah, blah, blah. Not interesting stuff. So fast forward to 2005. I did mention this before in one of my other videos. How what I believe God kind of called me into spreading the gospel, even though it's already an interest, it's already built in me, I believe. It's just naturally there. September 9th, 2005, had kind of a weird dream experience, and, supernaturally, I believe, led to Mark 16:15, which is kind of a cornerstone Bible verse of my life. And then, I'm not going to go there. Or should I? Kind of my first Bible verse I ever learned right before I got saved in the year 2000, my friend Samantha, my girlfriend, gave me this like Hallmark card, this little thing that's got your name on it and tells you what your name means, and then the back has a Bible verse. They just kind of randomly pick a Bible verse, but mine was Psalm 16:5. You, Lord, are all I have. You give me all I need. My future is in your hands. Now that's from a different translation. A lot of the translations say like let's just read it. Yeah, this is kind of irrelevant, but it does really define a lot in my life though. 16:5. Oh Lord, you are the portion of my inheritance and my cup. You maintain my lot. So it's essentially the same exact thing. But that so describes me with all the things I've been through and how I, really I've been alone, even in evangelism, a lone ranger for the most part, most of my life, and not having any friends and all that. So it's a really relevant verse, especially when I was in jail too, and just my whole life. So it's got a lot of meaning to me. I think I still have that card hidden somewhere, buried somewhere, I should say. But anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, 2005. And I shared the story before. So a month after September 9th, 2005, I was on a prayer walk, met up with Jim Paulstein. He gave me some VHS tapes, if you guys even know what that is anymore. VHS tapes to The Way of the Master TV series, and that is how I became acquainted with how to share the gospel. And it just so happens that their logo is Mark 16:15, which I thought was pretty cool, especially how it lines up with what happened September 9th, 2005. So that happened, and then the year after that, 2006, I think it was, I used to have this date memorized, October 18th, 2006, or something like that. I started going to Calvary Chapel. I was kind of attending a Baptist church earlier that same year, every now and then, because my girlfriend at the time was attending that church. Really, my first friend who was a believer was that girl. So, I don't know if I want to say, because of this video, and yeah. Well, I don't know, it probably doesn't matter, but anyway, I'll tell you later. So that was pretty cool. Something about, there's some things I didn't really agree with at that church, but I really loved their hymns. That's the first time I was exposed to hymns. Really good theology. I love songs that are really deep in theology. I really love theology. I don't like sloppy. I think too many songs today, especially Bethel, just saying, very sloppy music, very sloppy theology, especially the people, when you get to know their theology behind it, not necessarily what's in the music, but what's going on, with the people that sing the songs. It's just sloppy. But a lot of these older hymns, it's so thick with theology. I love that so much. This past Sunday, the song selection is like the best song selection I've ever heard at the church that I go to now, and I think they were all hymns. But anyway, irrelevant. How long is this video so far? Ooh, it's 10:45. I gotta get to bed. You gotta get to bed.
It's an hour long.
Yeah. Okay, where was I going anyway with this? 2006. Started going to a different church. Just kind of fast forward through the years. I don't know, maybe it's irrelevant to get into evangelism and all my frustrations with the church and how I was pretty much a lone ranger my entire life with that subject. And I can go on about this in another video. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining though. But anyway, guys, that was essentially all the backstory to what happened with me. But it ultimately doesn't matter what your testimony is. It's just that God saved you. End of story. But I just, for sake of getting to know one another, and I thought maybe it'd be an interesting video to make. Am I missing anything? I probably am.
What's going on today?
I can talk a lot, though, about what happened between 2003 and even 2013 as far as it relates to, how I've grown. On evangelism. 2013 was a really huge year as far as where I became as far as evangelism. Because that's when the first time in my life I actually met other believers who are interested in the same thing. There's a couple tiny exceptions. Actually, there's a lot I need to talk about. 2006, my friend, the girlfriend I was dating at the time, real big story. Something that we did one time to try and witness to people. My first encounter trying to witness to people face to face. I want to share that story sometime because there's a real important thing I want to mention in there. Then my friend Steve, he was a influence. I got married in 2008, and Steve was actually one of the people that stood up at my wedding. He's a great guy. Still talk to him a little bit today. But he was like really the first person that actually went out and shared kind of got my feet wet when sharing the gospel. He had the same problems I did with the church, how we were just like alone, nobody cares, not even the pastor, what we're doing. We're just kind of shoved to the side and kind of kicked to the curb, left for dead kind of thing. But that's all stuff for another video. I went long enough. Guys, I just wanted to share this with you. I just thought it'd be something interesting to do. Been wanting to do it for a long time. But I heard a saying one time recently, the best way to do a thing is to do a thing, is to just do it, essentially, because I'm a pretty lazy person. I put things off. I've always been a procrastinator, and I thought, well, maybe I should just write notes and just read it or something like that. That way I can get my more specific thoughts down without saying a million times or whatever, but then that would just be too boring, I guess. So for the one or two people who listen to this whole thing, thank you very much. I hope this has been an enjoyment for you. And I don't have some pretty cool way to sign off.
Hey, Daddy.
Yeah?
I just want to say, I don't know why. And then you guys had me in 2009. I don't know.
And then we had this beautiful, awesome, magnificent, I can't say enough good things about her person in 2009. And she's awesome. She's our firstborn. We got 4 other kids too who are also awesome. But yeah, I got married in 2008, and within like 1 month, like probably not even a full month, we got pregnant right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we didn't get much time to enjoy ourselves, just me and my wife. Me and Mama.
In 2012, Caleb was born. In 2015?
No, 14.
Duh.
Yeah.
Connor was born. Then 2016, Camden. 2018, Clara. So me and Clara are 10 years apart.
What about 2022? Who's coming?
No one.
Well,
Really?
guess what? I'm going to make the announcement right now, Chloe. I'm just kidding. Nobody yet. All right. Well, guys, thank you, and God bless, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.